So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And we have two special guests with us today. We have Russ and Jake from Cardboard Conflicts. They have a wargaming, a board gaming website that they run with kind of reviews and analysis of different games that they play as well. They live fairly near us, so they're very gracious to come and join us today.
They live in one of the worst parts of Indiana, though. That's the one bad thing. I feel badly for them.
Yes. We live in the only good part of Indiana.
Yeah.
So we played
No, that's Bloomington.
We played Bretwalda, which is a 4-player... I think it could go up to 5. But we played a 4-player game of Bretwalda from PHALANX. And so this is going to be kind of a preview video. This game is going to be on GameFound. Indeed, you're probably watching this on the GameFound page. So just press the button and buy it. And
you'll thank us later.
Yes. This is so it's a multiplayer, kind of a dudes on a map, area control, hybrid wargame style. And we could have played this 2-player, but I think the richness of this style of game comes when you've got many players, close to max players as well. So,
well, with the map, I mean, we were all on top of each other. I'm assuming with 2 there would have been more neutrals out.
Well, it's
potentially
the factions you're not using become
neutrals. But just having us on top of each other and each of us acting our own selves and trying to do our own thing just really made for a tense, really cutthroat experience, frankly.
So this is, like I said, multiplayer game about kind of Saxon Britain, and you're one of 4 kings. So there's Wessex, East Anglia, Mercia, and Northumberland, and you've just got your dudes on the map. You're a king. You've got different levels of units and kind of sea units you can build, and it's expanding into areas. Some of them will get you gold, some will get you food, some of them are cities, some of them are countryside. Building buildings, researching some technologies, and expanding and fighting. And you're trying to gain victory points, some of which are on the board, and others of which come from your little secret chronicle cards as well. And it's kind of just, for the 4-player game, first to 7 points wins. And there's a couple ways that the game can end, but it's this style of game. Here's my bunch of guys, and it's kind of a free-for-all, where you're trying to attack each other, fight off some neutrals, but with the way that the map's set up, you will be forced into combat at some point. It's impossible to win without expanding and taking ground. And a lot of those important victory points are in between players, and so you will be contesting those. It's not one of those games where you can sit here and build an economic engine and win that way.
Yeah.
That'll help you, but it's not... sometimes I find those games very deflating. When you're like, yeah, let's play a historical war game, because the Saxons all used to fight each other. And then no one does, and someone won because they built enough factories, which is just like, okay.
Well, and I think what you said, this game actually encourages that.
Yes.
So you're going to gain some, not victory points, but you're going to gain some potential benefits from defeating enemies, and you're going to get cards and different things that really can be used to help you. And it really encouraged it, frankly, which I thought was great.
Yes.
And even though there was a lot of fighting, I don't feel like it ever put any of us on the back foot. And we got away from doing what we needed to do to build as well. So I like that.
Yes. So I'm going to toss it over to Russ and Jake. What did you guys think about your experience playing this game, not necessarily playing with us?
Yeah, don't comment on that.
So I like the one of the mechanics is the ability to politic a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, for example, my faction was able to build up a lot of food resources, which can be very scarce, depending on the season change. And so I like the component of, or the aspect, if you will, of being able to trade resources if you have to.
Yep.
I also like the fact that, like, for example, I went to battle Russ and lost significantly, but the option is once a king has passed, getting one immediately on the board, ready to go back in your capital as long as it's not captured is pretty neat.
Yeah, so the kings, or your rulers, you have 3 of them in the game, and they all have different abilities, and sometimes they've got different stats, yep. And so the implication is that some of them are expected to die, and if you don't plan your combats well, which can be challenging, it's very easy to lose them.
Yep.
It's surprisingly easy if you don't have a lot of support units with them.
Well, and I found it interesting. We all used our kings like they were soldier kings, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But they
not
were
a good
warrior
idea.
kings. I'm not sure that's the best strategy. I think you need to use them intermittently where it makes sense. But it was like every battle we were running them in there, and we were like, oh, they got killed. Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
Put the next guy up, run it out.
They've got a nice shiny combat ability, and you want to use the big red die, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, but they're dead.
They're dead.
And then you've only got 2 left, and the important
Yeah.
part is if you lose 3 kings, you're dead, you lose the game, and the game ends at the end of
At
that
that moment.
season, and so the person who then has the most victory points wins.
So conversely, if you're ahead, maybe you should go ahead and fight with them all the time.
Yeah.
Try
I'm
to
gonna,
start
I'm gonna
killing
die
everyone.
because I'm ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
I also like these cards a lot because
the Lordship
Lordship
cards.
cards.
you've got several options on there. So
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
could discard for an extra attack, you could discard for an extra coin, or based on what the description
Use
is,
the event.
the extra abilities in there was really huge.
The part was neat. The neutrals and the Danes landing and having to bid, and then you get to control those guys can
Yeah.
really change the map and really screw some people over or take some heat off of you if there's some folks closing in. That part's pretty cool too.
And there's so, at least to start the game, there is a lot of neutrals on
Yes.
the board. And so, early game, you might not have as much money, but there's so many ways where you can pay the neutrals to go and attack your opponent.
Yeah.
They're just so, it's very dangerous in the early and mid game with all the neutrals and the Danes that land as well.
I'm not sure that I ever felt safe at any
Nope.
point. Whether it was the Danes that could come in kind of in a sea invasion, or you guys combined together, or I combined with someone else to move guys. And that was great. That
Yeah.
tension was palpable, and it was really good.
Oh yeah, because like on your board, you're moving out, and so all of your resources are now exposed. So
Yeah.
if this would have kept on going, either him or myself would
Yep.
have started going in.
And that was a gambit because I was one victory point away from winning, and I needed to get done one thing, and I'm like, I'm going for it.
Right.
And that was cool
Yep.
because if it failed,
Yeah.
you can see I'm going to be wiped out. And that's okay. That's part of what the game
Yep.
is and what it encourages. So I really like that. I enjoy the game for many reasons. I think the combat is absolutely excellent.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Each of the different units have a different die that has different faces. So you're rolling those. Some have three blank spaces is the most on the lowest end, and the red die have nothing that's a miss. So you got to build your armies well, move those around. I just thought that combat system with the Lordship cards was exquisite. I just thought it was really fun. Playing those dang cards was just so cool.
You never knew if you were safe, even if you had a bunch of guys. 'Cause
Yeah.
Then you I'm going to drop a bunch of cards, and
Yep.
next thing you know, you're just completely wiped off the map.
And more than a lot of other games in this style, those Lordship cards were so varied in
Yes.
what they
Yeah.
could do.
Yep.
It was really neat. I had ones where it was just like, you get a bunch of gold, just kind of like on my turn, a sailing ship came by, I got a bunch of gold. And then some of them it's combat abilities where you can ambush people, or you can, retreat before combat, or you can get additional die faces and things like that. So you can never be sure of what you're going into if people have got cards. And so that element of kind of surprise is always there. Always a little bit of nervousness. You're like,
yeah.
I've got a big force, I'm going in, but you never know.
Yep.
You never know what's going to be there. And a lot of the time someone's got something that they can do.
Yeah.
And that stuff makes it very interesting. Am I trying to be cagey? But you have to go and do stuff. You cannot sit and turtle and win this game. It's not possible. And so you're like, let's go in. Put the chips in and let's do it. Let's throw the dice. And as such, it encourages you to just get out there and start playing.
But those cards also, I really felt like they drove what I was doing because I looked at my hand and I'm like, you know what? I can risk this because I know I've got a card that's going to prevent a couple of wounds, or I know I've got a card that if you attack me back, I'm going to throw out like a Thane to defend. And that was really cool. So it really emboldened me to do what I needed to do. The other part that I really liked about the game, first and foremost, I think this is an economic game that you've got to at least get started.
Yeah,
We were all-
Engine.
You've got to build it with the technologies, and then the buildings. You've got to get those because you got to get good resources. And there's a lot of strategic choices about what am I going to do first? Am I going to take this area over that's going to give me more gold? Or am I going to play it safe and go for this area that gives me food? And I had to make those decisions at the beginning of the game and then do my limited actions. You only get 2 per turn efficiently. I thought that was going to be really hampering, but I never felt that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I felt like I could do generally what I really wanted to do. You couldn't do all of it, but you planned it out and you could do what you needed to do. So managing those 2 actions per turn was really cool.
Yeah, and you know, once you build that economy then has to fuel your military engine.
Yeah.
Because you have to go and attack people to take victory points, and
You have to grow, expand.
The thing I liked most is that you will do conflict in this game. It is unavoidable. You have to be in a shot to win it. And so many games, you can have people who sit back and just do the economy side of it. You simply cannot win that way.
Who lost a king in battle? Raise your hand. Who lost 2 kings in battle? Jacob. It was very
worth
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
We had regicide of both kings, I think at least twice, if I remember.
Yeah,
just
king on king.
Fantastic.
So much fun.
Lots of narrative created, lots of interesting aspect, and there's just a lot of very cool elements from the season cards and the abilities they give.
Yeah, and how those come out and last.
And they're random, right? So these 5 or 6 cards are never going to come up in the same order.
No.
So...
Yeah, I was just going to say the season cards were great. You almost have to prepare knowing full well when winter's coming. You have to plan that in part of your game plan for that year.
Especially when that one came up that was like, you collect 2 less food.
Yeah.
You know, that was devastating.
Yep.
But we all got through it. I think everybody made it through. Yep. But it kind of set the focus for that turn, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, that's good that came out early. If it came out late with this many soldiers on the board,
Would have been
it would have been in bad shape.
It would have been like the plague card, where you roll a die for almost everyone on the board, and so many of them die.
But that was such a great card.
It was fun. It was fun.
It was fun to go around and roll those and see, oh, I lost all these guys. And some of them you can stop from dying by paying food, and even the neutrals got hit by it, right?
And if you don't have food, they just die.
They just die.
It was,
This game, I just enjoyed this immensely. I think its sweet spot's going to be your 4-player. I thought it was a longer game than advertised. It said 90 minutes on the box. I think it took us nearly 3.5 hours. But that included learning, discussions. Maybe you could play it in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it would be shorter next time, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to puzzle over and ponder. And so you can get into, whilst you don't have a ton of actions that you can choose from, you have to make sure that you're doing your plan correctly.
Right.
And so your turn is a little bit, okay.
Well, and there's a lot
a
of these abilities give you like, oh, you get 1 more gold. So you have to really make sure you're remembering that.
Yeah, and
easy to forget.
Effects and your buildings. So there's a lot of bits and pieces to remember without being too cumbersome at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful prototype as well that we played with. So you know the final production is going to be gorgeous. The artwork is very kind of a thematic and period. And I don't know. I had a blast playing this. Yeah. And I'm grateful that you guys came down and played this with us as well, so that we could kind of get the real full experience of this too.
I would play this again immediately. If you guys wanted to go ahead and set it back up, I would play it again. So to me, that's always a good sign of a good, interesting game. I never want to play the crap ones again, right? But yeah, really enjoyable, very well made, and boy, it's striking. It's just, you look at this, you're like, wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful game.
Any final thoughts on the game?
I loved it. I'll go with you guys. This is definitely, I think, a 4-player game. I don't know that I'd want to do it even at 3 players. I think just 4, the way the map's laid out and where everyone's at, you're really gonna expand and you're gonna bump and have those battles. But yeah, it looks gorgeous. A lot of choices, a lot of crunchy bits to kind of think through, but not feeling overbearing at all. I think this would be an easy one to teach to non-war gamers. I think if you like kind of more Euro-ish type, conflict games, this definitely could fit with that group as well. Thanks for having us. I had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, thank you for inviting us over, and definitely this has a lot of replayability. I think the best part of the game was the engagement between the four of us. Lots of laughing, lots of dang it, you know. And I think that's the best part of any game is when you have everyone enjoying it. Even when you lose, it's still fun, right?
Yeah, there's so much interaction, even from people that you're on the opposite side of the board from you know, trading goods or, you know,
having a truce,
bribing people to not put the Danes invasions on you.
We did that at least once.
Agreeing to do pincer movements of neutrals on other
Seeing
players,
a card come
like
down
that.
and be like, oh, look at that effect.
Yeah.
You know?
And so between those and the incentive to do combat, this game ticks so many boxes that a lot of these Ameritrash dudes on a map style games fall flat for me, where people can win by being very passive, and I'm playing a different game to the person on the other side of the board. I feel like everyone's pretty close to each other. Like you said, as a 4-player game, I think this really is like the sweet spot because everyone's engaged with everyone and no one's kind of at a disadvantage because everyone's got their little, you know, Mexican standoff going on.
There's nowhere to hide.
Absolutely nowhere.
It's an island, and you can get anywhere. You know, there's ports, and so. What game did we say this compared to? We were talking about it. Wasn't there a game that we said? I'm drawing a blank.
Mare Nostrum?
Yeah, Mare Nostrum. It has the similar feel without some of with different mechanics. I just feel Mare Nostrum with this one. There's definitely a lot of uniqueness, and I think that's one question I was asked a lot as we were tweeting out what was going on. How's this different? I feel like it's very different than a lot of other kind of civ building.
Yeah, the seasonal play and the things that you're incentivized to do make it a much more interactive game than some of the other ones that are civ builders, where you just like, I build my civ, please leave me alone.
Well, I think the options too. There's such a wealth of options to do with your actions that there's 4 main actions. Yes. 4 main actions, but within each 4 is a plethora of choices.
Yeah, how you execute those is, and so it's not total paralysis where you're like, I can do anything that I want. Like you've got your 4 actions that you can choose, and so you can like, well, I need to collect, so let's do that, or I need to move, and then you figure out how you're going to move your units. So it doesn't take so long that some of these other games can take, where you're like, what do I even do now? The board's changed after 5 people's turns. Now it's my turn. So yeah, I had a blast playing this. Appreciate everyone coming down and playing this with us. So, and thank you very much for tuning in to our preview of Bretwalda from PHALANX. Again, it's on GameFound. Go check it out if you're interested. I've been Alexander from PlayerSaid.com.
And I'm Grant.